dedicated to conveying value and interpreting great books from around the world. Hello, this is Sally's Book Talk. The most important social unit in traditional China was the clan. Every person should spend their life centered around a clan. For example, if you took the imperial examination, the clan would pool money for you to go, and passing it would bring glory to the family. If you went out to do business and wanted to gain status among your clansmen, you might save every penny and send money back, repair the ancestral hall, and when old and unable to work, you'd still return to your hometown on your clan's land. Returning to one's roots. The way of life just mentioned is the patriarchal order. In ancient China, it was very, very mainstream, a cultural value acknowledged by most people. So, were there no exceptions among people living in that society? Outside the mainstream of clan culture, were there other ways of life? Yes, and that's the vagrant life we're discussing today. To understand vagrant life, the book we're talking about today, Vagrant Culture and Chinese Society, is absolutely essential. Its author is Wang Shuatai from the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. After its publication in 1999, the vagrant culture he revealed was hailed by the media as one of the three major humanities discoveries in contemporary China. The book answers several important questions, including what kind of people vagrants are and what cultural characteristics they possess. And what impact vagrants had in history is what I'll focus on interpreting next. First, let's talk about what kind of people vagrants are. So-called vagrants are actually a group detached from the mainstream order, wandering between urban and rural areas, making a living by selling their labor, or they engage in illegal trades with no fixed abode, little property, living highly unstable lives. Like boatmen, dock laborers, and folk performers, they were all like this. They were the lowest stratum of society at the time. So, vagrants as a group truly became significant, turning into an unignorable social phenomenon during the Song dynasty. During the northern and southern Song periods, population surged, leading to a shortage of arable land in fertile areas. Coupled with wealthy merchants and officials consolidating land, more peasants were forced to seek livelihoods in cities. Cities at that time were highly open, accepting anyone. Bankrupt peasants came to cities, lingering on streets, some doing odd jobs for government offices, others performing folk arts and acrobatics. Some worked as laborers, boosting commercial development. Others had no legitimate jobs, becoming ruffians and scoundrels, stealing, robbing, deceiving, doing all manner of misdeeds. These vagrants, anyone familiar with water margin will recall figures like Gao Kyo before his rise, or Neo Air who tested blades with his body. These literary characters exemplify vagrants. All right, having defined vagrants, let's explore their shared characteristics. Ron Shuatai summarized 4 key traits defining the vagrant psyche. First, intense antisocial tendencies. This makes sense at society's bottom. Changing fate through conventional means was near impossible. Only fierce opposition to the existing order offered hope. In their eyes, becoming bandits, despised by mainstream culture, gained heroic resonance as resistance against injustice. Consider Water Margin. Its entire narrative centers on the Liangshan marsh rebels defying imperial authority. The author portrays these Liangshan outlaws as noble heroes, upholding justice, forced there by the mainstream system itself. Officials become the villains, persecuting good people and undermining stability. Thus, the Liangshan heroes could only develop through rebellion, right? Now, the second trait, daring to take risks and initiate action, directly linked to their antisocial nature. To rise, vagrants must do what others won't or dare not attempt. This survival reality forged their proactive, aggressive spirit. In critical moments, vagrants strike first, like Lu Zhishin in Water Margin killing the butcher Zheng with 3 punches. Originally, Lu Zhishin merely sought justice, helping a woman Zhang had humiliated escape. At most, he meant to teach Jiang a lesson, no need for killing. But once fighting erupted with mutual mortal danger, his sole focus became securing immediate victory. This strike first mentality evolved among some vagrants into might makes right. When Li Kui, the Black Whirlwind, acted as magistrate in Shoucheng County to judge cases, he didn't bother with right or wrong. Whoever struck first was the hero. Oh, whoever got beaten is the villain. Li Kui surely is. This absurd scenario perfectly represents this twisted mindset. Right, the third point is a strong sense of gang loyalty. Vagrants are people detached from the patriarchal order, which emphasizes close bonds based on blood ties for mutual aid. Since vagrants lost their original clan ties and ventured alone, to strengthen themselves, they imitated the patriarchal system of mainstream society. Though not related by blood, they united with other vagrants sharing similar fates and experiences, forming gangs. The simplest way, the most primitive way was sworn brotherhood, calling each other sworn brothers. More complex were large gangs and secret societies, all evolving from sworn brotherhood. The well-known Peach Garden Oath is the most typical example of vagrants forming gangs. Romance of the Three Kingdoms was adapted from storytelling works by many vagrants, bearing strong vagrant characteristics. In real history, Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei had good relations, but ultimately it was a master-servant dynamic. But in Romance of the Three Kingdoms, they became equal sworn brothers, addressing each other as big brother, second brother, little brother. With gang loyalty, everything prioritizes the gang's interests and rules. Support what benefits the game, oppose what harms it. Facts and morality are no longer standards. After Guan Yu's defeat and death in the story, Liu Bei becomes very narrow-minded. Out of brotherly love, he ignores state interests and ministers opposition to mobilize the whole nation for revenge. The final trait of vagrant character is worship of violence, contempt for women, and pursuit of immediate gains. First is the glorification of violence, most evident in Water Margin. Terrifying yet normalized, like cutting out tongues, beheading, digging out hearts, and cannibalism are portrayed as heroic deeds in this novel. Li Kui, the Black Whirlwind, to vent Song Jiang's anger, killed Huang Wenbing by first slicing flesh piece by piece from his thigh. Then he roasted the cut meat over fire, shared it with the Liangshan heroes, and after they'd eaten, cut out the heart and liver to make soup for everyone. Oh, this is even more terrifying than dismemberment by 5 horses. When Yang Shang killed his adulterous wife, he first cut out her tongue, then hung her organs on trees before dismembering her. Utterly brutal. Such graphic violence reveals how vagrants detached from traditional clan order lived knife-edge existences. They became numb to brutality and savagery. Next is contempt for women. Many vagrants were unmarried men, not lacking desire, but developing twisted psychology that demonized women to justify avoiding them. In Water Margin, nearly all attractive women, except Lady who joined Liangshan, were portrayed as promiscuous villains killed by the heroes. And even Lady Hu was forced to marry Wan Ying, a short, ugly man inferior to her in martial skills, as the price of acceptance. This plot reflects vagrants' distorted longing for ideal women. Had they actually gained access to women, their demands would have exceeded normal people's. Tang Shouquan, Taiping rebellion leader with 80-plus concubines demanding beauties for birthdays, exemplifies this. Lastly, pursuing immediate material gains, survival was vagrants' foremost concern. Thus, they highly valued money and possessions. Liangshan heroes always looted valuables after killings. Song, fleeing after murders at Mandarin Duck Tower, still took time to flatten and steal silverware. Song Jiang had Hong Wenbing's entire estate packed and hauled away after killing his family. Vagrants rarely hid their material desires. They seized wealth whenever possible. So these four vagrant traits we've analyzed from an outsider's mainstream perspective. Terms like antisocial, violence worshipping, and materialistic describe dark, unsavory aspects to become an independent culture capable of rivaling the mainstream. These elements alone are clearly insufficient. Throughout history, vagrants reinterpreted their beliefs, lending their spiritual pursuits positive, shining qualities. The first positive aspect is the concept of Shia, chivalry. To become a chivalrous hero, the most crucial quality is sociability, having many friends willing to follow you. So, what constitutes true sociability? It means being willing to lend a hand in difficult times, offering money or effort. Anyone meeting these conditions becomes the ideal chivalrous hero in vagrants' eyes. Look, Songjong in Water Margin embodies exactly this kind of hero. From his introduction in chapter 18, he became the absolute protagonist of the entire book. Any hero hearing Songjong's name would immediately bow, addressing him as Gong Ming, his courtesy name, calling him brother as a sign of respect. Ultimately, Songjong unsurprisingly became leader of Liangshan Marsh, ruling the vagrant community's fate. The second positive aspect is Yi, righteousness as vast as the heavens. In vagrant culture, Yi means prioritizing others in interactions, with recipients remembering kindness and repaying it. Truly, survival in their world depended entirely on Yi. This concept of Yi formed the bond-building relationships among vagrants. In Water Margin, Sunjan, originally a minor official, risked his life to warn Chao Gai upon receiving news, helping them escape. After Chao Gai secured their Liangshan foothold, they repeatedly contacted Sanjan, eventually rescuing him from Zhangzhou execution ground, perfectly embodying E. The final positive aspect is equality of status. In vagrant groups, this equality manifested most directly through addressing each other as brothers. While mainstream society used brotherly terms to denote hierarchy, vagrants treated each other as peers. Liangshan Marsh exemplified this equality. Even its top leader, Song Zhan, was simply called brother, making Liangshan a holy land for vagrants, inspiring later groups modeling themselves after it. Precisely because of these positive elements, vagrant culture became um, capable of standing toe-to-toe with mainstream society. Soon, minor intellectuals incorporated vagrant cultural ideals into Romance of the Three Kingdoms and Water Margin. These popular works spread widely, especially during Ming-Qing era, including themes like heroic loyalty, being forced to join outlaws, and acting in heaven's name. What began as lingo within vagrant circles became household knowledge. This was monumental. If Song Dynasty vagrants emerged passively, by Ming Qing, they developed their own texts and ideological frameworks. With growing self-awareness, vagrants forming factions stepped onto history's main stage. The most famous among these was Tiandihui, also known as Hongmen. It profoundly influenced modern China as a secret society. During Qing Dynasty, it operated in Fujian and Guangdong. By late Qing, it expanded overseas, establishing branches in US, Taiwan, Southeast Asia. Some still exist today. Scholars debate Tiandihui's origins. Founding cause, time, and location have multiple conflicting accounts. Yet, these disputes reveal core values vagrants identified with in Tiandihui's origin legends. First, Tiandihui was founded on vagrants' chivalrous ideal of resisting tyranny. In early Qing, Manchu troops massacred Han Chinese during southern campaigns, leaving devastation. A Fujian monk named Zhang Daozong then joined an anti-Qing secret society of 18 men. This group adopted the surname Wan, 10,000. Zhang Daozong ranked fifth, called Wan Wu. Connecting identity to records. Combined with his monastic name, Dazong, he became Wan Wu Dazong, recorded in Tiandihui documents. Their leader died serving Zheng Chenggong. The survivors, falsely accused and distrusted, faced a crossroads. They split. The second and seventh leaders, backed by Wan Wu Dazong, surrendered to Qing government biding time. But in 1674, Kangxi 13th year, their plot with Wu Sangui to rebel was exposed. The second and seventh leaders were executed with families. Wan Wu Dazong felt furious and guilty. After personally presiding over the Waterland Dharma Assembly to appease spirits, on July 25th that year, he founded Tiandihui in Lao Chi's hometown, Yunshao County, inheriting the will to resist tyranny and save the people. Thus, Tiandihui portrayed Kangxi as a tyrannical, incompetent foreign emperor. This became the famous Shi Lu myth. During Kangxi's reign, the Zilu tribe rebelled. Emperor Kangxi recruited talents nationwide to suppress them, with 128 monks helping repel the enemy. But due to persecution by treacherous officials, Kangxi massacred these 128 monks, leaving only 5 survivors. The 6 wandered aimlessly. Later at sea, they found an incense burner inscribed "Revive Ming, Destroy Qing." Revive Ming, Destroy Qing. In other words, to revive the Ming dynasty and eliminate the Qing dynasty. Driven by divine will, they gathered 102 more heroes, totaling 108 men, swore brotherhood under heaven, adopted the surname Hong, and vowed to oppose Qing and restore Ming. This is the Shi Lu myth. Tiandihui members later refined the story, adding details and characters, shrouding it in profound mystery. Featuring treacherous officials, persecution, justice, and morality, it became a perfect replica of popular novels. Thus, besides resisting tyranny, Tiandihui drew inspiration from Water Margin and Romance of the Three Kingdoms, establishing a complex organizational structure. Within the society were positions like hall masters, stronghold leaders, incense masters, and stewards. This shows how self-aware the vagrant community was about their actions. Precisely this self-awareness made Tiandihui extremely dangerous. It faced severe suppression from the Qing court long-term, operating only secretly underground. Not until late Qing did Hongmen finally step onto the historical stage. After the Taiping Rebellion failed, Guangdong Hongmen brothers escorted Hong Xiuquan's son south to escape. During late Qing Revolution, sharing anti-Qing sentiments and with massive organizational strength, Hongmen allied with modern revolutionaries, participating in uprisings in Guangdong and Hunan Hubei, becoming a key revolutionary force alongside the new army. At this point, the main framework of the book, Vagrant Culture in Chinese Society, has been largely introduced. You might wonder, how could vagrants' dark psychology coexist with such lofty ideals? How are these contradictions reconciled? Here are 2 thought-provoking examples. First, perspectives from Jin Xingtan, a late Ming, early Qin literary critic. His views on vagrants mainly appear in his commentary on Water Margin. Water Margin is a classic reflecting vagrant culture. Concepts like righteousness first and acting for heaven are familiar themes. In's commentary pierces vagrants' true motivations beneath these noble phrases. When Wu Song avenges his brother by killing Pan Jinlian, tearing her clothes, Jin insightfully notes, Wu Song sacrifices brother as uncle. This single line exposes possibilities aligning with vagrants' true character. Jin also reveals conflicts between Songzhan and Chao Gai, turning Liangshan's harmony into power struggles. Yet Jin doesn't deny the book's proclaimed righteousness, making his commentary invaluable for understanding vagrants' contradictions. Second example is Zhu Yuanzhan's regime in late Yuan-early Ming. This real historical case is profoundly illustrative. Zhu's core supporters were vagrants. He himself was once a begging monk. As emperor, his paranoia toward meritorious officials, hatred of corruption, and treating the realm as personal property, this near fanaticism perfectly fused vagrant culture's contradictions. All right, that concludes our interpretation of vagrant culture and Chinese society. Meeting notes are below the audio. See you tomorrow.